So, fun fact about Jack, she has a hard time getting drunky pants. This weekend at Osheaga, she's like so hydrated all the time that she's like, oh, I just like don't feel anything. And I'm like, wow, I really wish I had that problem.
I'm too hydrated.
Like I'm like, stop drinking so much water.
Wait, should we be talking about drinking water?
Yeah, hydration is key.
I think we have something else we want to talk about today.
Oh, a very exciting reveal today.
But I think first, let's just roll the intro.
Well, welcome back to Poddy Talk, the podcast where we shit talk ourselves.
I'm Jack.
And I'm Tor.
And we have a lot to dive into this episode. We just came back from Osheaga, the festival, and it was a weekend.
I mean, I hit 3 festivals in a span of like 3 days.
You definitely
It was too much.
But beyond that, we have a lot of excitement for this episode because we have our first sponsor for the podcast. I'm so pumped about this one because I just love this product so much. And I think we manifested this.
We did. I feel super excited about partnering with this brand, and it's just everything we stand for as people, so I feel like it's such a nice combination to be able to bring it to the Poddy Talk family.
And if you go back to the first episode of season 2, aka 2 episodes ago, I think we manifested it because I remember I said in the podcast, if someone could find the clip, roll it back, because I go, we just need a good beverage sponsor. And that is what we have today. Tori, take it away.
Well, this episode is brought to you by Roar Organic Canada. Roar Organic is the next generation of premium electrolyte beverages for millennial hustlers like you. Whether you're climbing the corporate ladder or looking to tear it down, hitting the gym, or hitting the pavement, Roar Organic has the ingredients for success. It's got organic electrolytes for faster hydration, antioxidants to protect against free radicals, and B vitamins to help you be a go-getter.
I actually drink these all the time. I'm so obsessed with them. Sometimes I'll grab one after a workout to replenish my electrolytes or even just to go along with my lunch. Since they're so low in sugar with no preservatives or artificial flavors, it's a perfect alternative to water or any other sugary packed drinks.
Now, since we want our Poddy Talk listeners to try this beverage out, we're hosting a giveaway over on our Instagram, and one lucky winner will receive a case of Roar. So to enter, go to Poddy Talk Podcast on our IG channel and go to the most recent post or the post with the caption Episode 13 Giveaway, and all the details on how to enter for a chance to win Roar will be on the post. Good luck to everyone.
I'm excited for whoever wins this.
We cannot wait for you guys to try this bevy. We love it.
This one actually has been my favorite lately, which is why I brought this one for us today.
Oh, did you hear that?
I know.
Crisp.
I tried to do some ASMR in the microphone. This one is Georgia Peach, and it is so delicious. And I cannot believe how low in sugar it is and just all the good things. So super excited about this. And we are going to be sipping on Roar every episode this season, so
can't wait.
Get excited for the other flavors.
So let's dive into what has been happening over the last week, because last week we chatted about my Vegas adventure. Now this weekend we had another extravaganza of a weekend.
Yeah, I think we kind of knew that this week was this past month was gonna be a little chaotic. There's just been so many things back to back. I think both you and I, every week we have been on a plane. For the past month and a half?
I was texting one of my good friends over the weekend, and she was saying, oh, how's it going? I know you've been super busy. And I said, yeah, August is always my burnout month. Always. I don't know why. It's so weird because you'd think September or, heading back into the routine of things would be busier, but something about August, it gets me going. And it's the combo of the party / the work that really starts to wear you down, you know?
No, I agree.
And we actually experienced the worst day of our entire 2019 year on, what day was that?
That was Thursday.
Just the worst, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong.
Let's paint the picture. So it is Thursday. It is the day before Osheaga. We are all doing a road trip up to Montreal. We thought we were going to be a little budget friendly. We're like, there's no point to spend $1 million on flights. It's a 45-minute, hour-long flight from Toronto to Montreal. So we're like, there's a group of us going, let's do a road trip. That sounds good in theory, right?
It sounded reasonable, but honestly, even a month ago, I thought, wow, this is truly the worst idea. I should have trusted my instincts. Also, I was the one responsible for driving, which I didn't care about. I actually love driving, but I've never done just a 6-hour straight drive.
Yeah.
And that was a little bit of a hustle for me.
Well, I think the first problem, one of our passengers in the seat had Burger King. And that disrespected them. So we had to make a a few frequent
bathroom stops for the burger. Don't eat Burger King.
The worst possible thing to eat while on a long car ride is something that will potentially give you gut rot. So that was mistake number one. I mean, I have to say, compared to the road trip back, the road trip down was
the drive there was not the problem. It was actually the second we arrived in Montreal that the problems began.
Well, it was just really odd because we were staying at an Airbnb, which was, you know, this beautiful loft in Old Montreal. But the first problem that presented itself was parking the car. We didn't really take into account, sure, we would be saving money on flights and not spending, whatever, $200 a person on a flight. But we had to obviously all pitch in for gas and then pay for parking. And parking is not cheap in Montreal.
Well, it's not even the parking that. It's not even the price of parking that threw us off. We drove into this green P, and all of a sudden we look, and the back window of cars were like smashed in, glass everywhere, kind of like two sketchy guys like sitting nearby waiting for cars to be like, it was just all so weird. So
all the reviews also on the parking lot, because we were like pulling things up on Google, it was like, yeah, my car got broken into, but like, and then we saw it also in real life.
Yeah,
so we're like, hey,
very
so this is a
strange.
frequent thing that happens in this parking lot.
So we're like, KK, gotta go. So then we go to another parking lot. The parking meter wasn't working. I'm like, okay, that's sketchy. We don't want to leave our car without a paid parking. Then we go to another parking lot, and another glass smashed in. And this person had their passport stolen. I mean, okay, that's a you problem for leaving
yeah, don't leave your passports in your vehicle first off.
Right.
Or visibly accessible, like double problem.
All of that, very strange. However, still super weird that another car had been broken into. So I'm texting my friend who's a Montreal local saying, yo, is this a common thing in Montreal? Should I be, you know, leaving my car at a hotel or doing like a valet service because I feel so sketched out? And she's responding, oh no, I've never heard of such a thing. Like as if I'm crazy that I'm like made up this story.
Yeah, it did seem like something was in the air just that night. Even some like, there were some groups of people that were like walking by, like we were getting weird vibes all around.
No, totally.
And then on top of that, so we needed to park the car obviously and then go like lug all of our luggage to the Airbnb, which is down the street. And one problem that I didn't really realize would present itself is that we were in Old Montreal and there's cobblestone everywhere. So we're like lugging these big like suitcases and duffel bags and we're like clinking over like the cobblestone sidewalks. And we get to the Airbnb, and then problem number two presents itself.
What was it again?
The key did not work.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was so weird because he said, oh, yeah, go to the mailbox. And I arrive, and I'm like, there's no mailbox. So then I thought we were being literally gypped out of our Airbnb.
Yeah.
I thought
though he also said like enter in the keypad code or whatever.
Well, there was a code to use which didn't work. There was a mailbox that apparently existed that did not exist.
Yeah.
So sketchy. Finally, this store clerk next door to where our Airbnb was kind of helped us out and like moved the door around and we were able to find this secret mailbox. But then we go in, and then this is when Adam just started, my boyfriend hates the smell of cigarettes, and it had that sort of like lived-in smell of cigarettes, which is truly one of my least favorite smells.
Well, we also made a point to book a non-smoking Airbnb.
This is what scares me about these like rental things. Is like, can't you just so easily lie? Which clearly they did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I mean, obviously you're going off people's reviews.
Yeah. It's a community kind of driven thing.
But still, yeah, it does give me a little bit of anxiety.
Yeah, so we get into this place, and so, yeah, Adam was thrown off by the smell, and this place looks stunning, and that's why we booked it. It was like this gorgeous big loft and like room for lots of our friends to come over, and we thought it would be like the perfect entertaining spot for the festival weekend. And then we quickly realized that everything in the loft was like almost a facade. Like nothing actually worked. Everything was just like placed so it looked nice.
Yeah.
For example, I go to the towel rack, you know, in the bathroom to go dry my hands. I go to like literally touch the towel, like it was on a towel ring that was like on the wall. And I touch the towel and the whole ring and mount comes out of the drywall with part of the wall on it. Like it comes out in this big patch and falls onto the ground. Drywall dust is everywhere. And I'm like, oh my God, I just broke this Airbnb within 2 seconds of being in it. It was really odd though. It was almost like it was a puzzle piece that like I didn't feel it rip, like the paint and the wall and the drywall. It just like pulled out of like the spot.
It just released
which
itself.
makes me believe that this happened to the guest prior, and they just kind of placed it
No,
back.
totally.
In
Like we were saying, it was almost like a playhouse. Like nothing actually worked. I went to go do the dishes, and I opened the dishwasher, and the thing just like literally like came tumbling down.
It broke. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, okay, what? Like, and it looks pretty from the outside, but then you go and it smells like cigarettes. You touch anything and it breaks. Like, what is that?
And then the stove, like it was like a glass top stove.
Oh, yeah.
Literally, someone like touches the corner of it, and it just falls through.
in.
Like we're talking a giant rectangular glass plate falls down to the ground. Thank God it didn't shatter. That would have been a disaster.
No.
So we ended up just kind of like placing it back in place, but like everything was so finicky. It was almost like hilarious. Each moment we would discover
new
things, like even the stools. So they had like 8 giant stools on this island, and the stools though were like too high to sit on because they just made it under the island lip. So you couldn't actually fit a body in it. So
None of it made
looked
sense.
nice, but you couldn't actually sit on the stools.
Yeah.
It was like
so unfunctional.
Yeah. The TV didn't work.
Oh, yeah,
the Wi-Fi wasn't working.
Oh my God, the Wi-Fi didn't work for like 3 days.
So did I tell you why I went over my data? So get this. It's like August 3rd when we're there. And August 1st, my phone plan always resets. I have like about 5 gigs of data each month, which I always hover to go over.
I was going to say 5 is not a lot, to be honest.
Okay, don't shame me. You have like 25. Like that's crazy. I don't even know how you have that on your phone.
Because I'm on a family plan. Get
so you
with
just
it.
steal your the rest of your
No one else
siblings.
in my family uses it as much as I do, so I get away with it.
That's too funny. But yeah, and we had some work we had to do the first day, and this is so strange. This Wi-Fi appears to be connected, but it actually is just using your data, and like you're not on Wi-Fi, even though it looks like you see the little Wi-Fi bars. And we had so much work we had to do, so I was like, transferring documents and uploading videos and doing like all this stuff. Obviously ate away all my data. The next day I wake up, you have reached 95% of your data usage. I go, it just reset 3 days ago. Oh, like what? So that was annoying. Like all of this, like boom.
By 2 in the morning, we were just all sitting there like crying because things had just gone so terribly wrong that day. And then I had literally insomnia that night, and I didn't sleep, and I woke up wanting to die.
Okay, that's dramatic.
No, but I woke up feeling horrible, and then I knew that was the first day of the festival, and I was like, oh Jesus.
We also though knew since that day had gone so wrong that anything would be better than that.
We were hoping.
I also think though too, when you have like a few bad things happen, you're in that mindset of this is the worst day ever, so then everything else just seems like such a mess.
Remember we walked to dinner and the cops screamed at me, like everything his energy
like, of course the cops yelling at us.
Yeah, we're like, everybody's mad at us. And I was just standing on the phone, and he just chose me as a target to yell at. I'm thinking, why? Why am I?
That was really odd. We were literally standing waiting for the light to change, and she's talking on the phone. He goes, ma'am, you're gonna cross the street on the phone. You're gonna get hit. Like,
and I wasn't even moving.
Yeah.
I was literally standing still on the phone. I'm like, sir, it's not a crime to be on the phone.
No, you look back, and we were both kind of like taken aback because I mean, if someone's
I didn't even say anything. I didn't even know what to say.
I remember I said, I'm like, oh, so I said sorry, which I don't know why I said sorry. We weren't doing anything wrong. He goes, you don't need to say sorry. You're just gonna get hit, so you're the one that'll be sorry. I'm like,
what?
I did say, like, it made no sense. It was weird.
Do you ever think that's just such a power trip? Like people.
I don't think majority of people have that intention, but I'm sure that's the case with some people.
I mean, that was wild.
He just wanted to yell at us.
I did nothing. He truly just wanted to yell
at
us.
It was also, I think the fact like you were like, I don't want to say like feeding into that stereotype, but like you were on the phone, you were like super done up, and I think he just wanted to be like, oh my God, this dumb girl who like doesn't know what's going on and is talking out of, like, you know?
Yeah, I kind of
That's what it felt like. And I was like, sir,
which makes me hate it even more
Totally.
because you don't know me.
Totally.
You
don't know me, don't know my story.
Don't know my story, and don't speak to me. Thanks.
Anyways, beyond that, Montreal was incredible. It was dusty. I did not expect the dust this year.
Oh, I thought you were saying that as like a positive thing, as a new. It was dusty. I was like, wait,
can we start that as a thing?
Yo, it was dusty. Like as if it was sick, but
dusty
festival. No, it was really good though, actually.
Well, one thing
better than last year. Better than last year.
I think the only years that I've been is when the park has been under construction, so the festival layout was super
different.
Yeah, it made no sense. It looked like a fire hazard waiting to happen. This year it was so much more planned out, thought out. It was like finally finished being renovated and.
Well, no, it went back to its original settings.
Yeah,
and it was like that. I guess the first 2 years I went, and it like you were explaining, it's much more, feels like a hamburger as opposed
Versus
to a
a hot
hot dog.
dog.
Like, it was long and skinny for the last 2 years,
Yeah.
like this sort of strange layout of all the stages. And this time it was very spread out and nice and circular and great.
It actually worked out great. I mean, despite ruining my first pair of shoes, I had a big pair of white sneakers on day one, and then it was so dusty they got destroyed. But we had a backup pair of sneakers because on the first day that we arrived in Montreal, we went to this Converse event, and they were celebrating the new launch of these epic new red Converse. Wow, this sounds like another ad. This one isn't, I swear. And they had a artist there doing like custom doodles or designs on the Converse, and they're like, "Ladies, what do you want on the shoes?"
So we did it. Potty talk. We got potty talk
this is too
written.
early to
We're
be this
showing our
flexible.
camera, but for our podcast listeners, you're just gonna think,
Just hear
why
us,
are they
like, grunting?
struggling?
Why are they grunting?
But yeah, we got potty talk on the side of our Converse,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
So now we're gonna be rock. It's just really free promo. Whenever we go anywhere, we'd be like, "Oh, what's it on your shoes?" Oh, Potty Talk, the podcast. It's my favorite podcast.
But then you got Jack on the back of yours, and she wrote it sideways,
Yeah.
and it doesn't really look that good.
okay,
Sorry.
hey,
Sorry.
don't bully me.
Sorry.
At least
You don't even have a
there's
comeback.
No rebuttal there.
So
folks.
who is your favorite artist this weekend?
I'd been saying this all weekend. Len and Stella. I went there going into the festival, being like, I can't wait to see Len and Stella.
and then you saw her
And then we saw her
twice.
Yeah. I had interviewed her. Actually, interviewed her in this exact room that we are.
Wow.
I've just been like the longest, long time fan of Lennon, and when she came out with her EP, I was like, her music is exactly what I wanted out of life. Interviewed her, probably one of my favorite interviews I've ever done. I just like truly like love her as an artist and as a human apparently. And I feel like festivals are very much so her vibe. Like she's so like chill, and so I was excited to see like what set she brought to Osheaga. And then we were walking backstage at
on the Saturday?
We were walking. There's like this weird like VIP like secret back entrance to like basically miss all the lines, which we took advantage of every day. And I noticed this like flamingo golf cart driving by, and I was just like, wow, that is a cool golf cart. And then she was just sitting on the back. So I was like, oh my God, Lennon, hey. She's like, hey girl, and then like continued to drive away. I was like, oh, that was random.
Yeah.
But then and then the next day, super random again. It's like the universe was just bringing us together.
Yeah.
So you had left at this point, which we'll dive into your other adventures in a second.
Yeah.
And everyone actually all week that was like coming up to you was like, oh my God, you actually look so much like Len and Stella, which is something that, I mean, I never really thought about, but now that Lennon's hair is blonde again, like I could totally see the resemblance.
See it. Maybe like
but
similar face shape.
5 people probably said that to you?
Yeah, a lot of my boyfriend's friends that I ran into, I guess, had seen her on stage earlier that day, and weirdly, without even seeing me, were saying, "Oh my God, we were talking about you because we were saying, oh my gosh, you look so much like Lennon."
So it was so funny. So Torri left on the Sunday, so I didn't have my tour, so I was there all alone. Actually, I wasn't all alone, but without tour. And then randomly, we're going to see Tame Impala, and literally, like the person next to me, I turned. It was Lennon and her sister. So it's like, Lennon, hello, nice to see you again.
Wait, Maisie was there?
Maisie was there
but
too.
But she didn't come out to sing.
Yeah, I think like.
How crazy.
Yeah, I think she brings out her sister sometimes, but it's also like, I mean, I don't think they want to like overstep. Like they like have their own. I don't know.
Okay.
But they're like such a cute little like duo. I love when they sing together. But yeah, and then she was there, and then we were watching Tame Impala all night, and I was texting you. I was like, your replacement is here. And
it's my
you
doppelganger.
have been replaced.
My doppelganger.
But no, she's super sweet. Love Lennon. Yes. Okay, anyways, enough about me ranting about my love for Lennon and Stella.
No, that's okay.
Why did you leave a day early? Why did you go to so many festivals? Can you walk everyone through your crazy hectic schedule? Because this is actually insane.
Yeah, we drove up to Osheaga on the Thursday. I stayed at the festival Friday, Saturday, woke up at like 6 in the morning on Sunday, took the first flight out to Toronto. That's when I had a mental breakdown, but then I took a nap.
Why'd you have a mental breakdown?
I think I was just exhausted.
Yeah.
Like the life catches up to you.
Yeah.
You know? And then I went to Veld, which is like the EDM concert of Toronto.
Cardi B was there.
Yeah, I didn't see Cardi though. I only saw Cardi the following night at OVO, but I saw Kygo, and Kygo was actually so good. I've realized in recent times I secretly love like tech, like EDM.
Really?
Yeah, like I really like it, but I like it when it's lyrics, if that makes sense. I don't like just the beats, but I really like strong lyrics, like kind of a Selena Gomez Kygo situation.
Okay.
So that was really great, and it was at sunset, and it was really nice, and I had to go for work, but honestly the work part took care of itself, which was great. And then the following day I went to OVO, which was, I mean, I don't know how I feel about OVO. I'm really glad I went. I love Drake. I've been a long time fan of Drake. I obviously love that he's put Toronto on the map. I think that's huge. At the same time, I do think his ticket prices are a little bit insane.
Yeah, wasn't it like,
well, for what it is.
$2,000 for like lawn.
It's just, I don't know if that's the value of that ticket. I mean, I was there with a partner.
What is the most that you would pay for a concert ticket? Not just Drake, but in general.
The most have I ever paid?
Would you and what have you? Maybe let's do both.
Okay, I've definitely paid more than $500 for like Taylor Swift. But I love Taylor Swift concerts, and like that's totally worth it. And I think that's for 2 tickets. I don't think I ever paid $500 a ticket. I don't think.
Well, I'm feeling a little.
I guess the most I would ever pay would probably be about $500 or $600. I don't beyond that. I just think that's a little bit crazy.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
You've paid like what, over $1,000?
No, not for a single ticket. I have a deep-rooted love for One Direction, and hopefully they come back one day. But no, I love Harry Styles. This is no surprise. And back in my like prime One Direction days, I probably spent the most on a single ticket was maybe like $550 like Canadian or US. But that would have been like front row. So like it was like very worth it in my eyes. And like I look back to when I was like 15 and like those
how were you even buying that for $500? They weren't $500 back then.
They would get reset like sold.
Resold.
They would only sell on Ticketmaster for $200.
No, yeah.
But like the monopoly on One Direction tickets was so crazy, and like they would just go up. And I would just check on StubHub all the time, and I would buy
you were good about like finding the deals.
But that's probably the only like One Direction / Harry Styles is probably the most I've ever spent / would spend. I can't think of anyone in current day that I'd be like, oh, I would spend that much money.
Well, I've also made the mistake in more recent times where a lot of our like brand partners end up getting tickets to concerts.
That is the biggest privilege, and I can like not believe that is
truly
the reality.
The biggest privilege, because like music is such a huge part of my life and always has been, and it's so nice that randomly music has become so integrated into the media world, wherein they think, oh wow, let's bring some influencers to come to this concert. And that actually happened with Taylor last year, because I had spent upwards of $500 on the 2 tickets.
For my birthday gift.
Yeah.
That was the cutest.
And then literally a week before, we both get that email from the brand saying, oh, we have a box, everyone come. And I thought,
that's insane.
Oh my gosh, we can't pass that up. So we went with the brand, but I just gave the tickets to my mom, which totally worked out. My mom and brother went.
Do you feel like you're ever like living a life that isn't yours? Like have you heard of like what imposter syndrome is before?
Yeah, of course.
I feel like that's me. 24/7. Like I just always.
Really?
Yeah, and like not in the sense that I'm like self-deprecating. I'm like I don't deserve any of this, but like also in the same sense, yes, I feel like I don't.
Interesting.
Not like deserve it. Like it's like I do understand. Like I do work hard, and I think I do have like a good like work-life balance, and I don't. It's not like it's a negative like perspective of myself. Like I do like whatever. But sometimes I feel like the lifestyle I live / the experiences I'm privileged enough to get, it feels like
a facade?
Not a facade, but just like it shouldn't be happening to me. Like,
Interesting. I had that when I was growing up. Like I remember when I booked Life with Boys and I was finishing the first season before the show had actually launched. I had that exact feeling of, why did I get this amazing experience? Why did I? And I actually started to have this like fear of death, because I thought there's no reason I should deserve to live this life. So maybe I'll actually die before I ever get to see it through to fruition. And I was like, I think I actually had to see a doctor about it, because
oh my God.
Yeah, because I was like really afraid that I would die before I could see myself find success. Which is like so crazy. But I guess after I kind of dealt with that and grappled with it and like went on with my life and like really worked hard for everything I got, like I have never felt it since. I really don't feel any kind of imposter syndrome. Like I feel every stepping stool or every extra hour or every extra like, sacrifice I've made has led me to be where I am. So I'm gonna accept it and be like.
Maybe my perspective on it, it's not as like crippling as it sounded like what you were going through, but more of the sense of like.
The idea is always there.
Maybe it's like I guess maybe more when we do like when we have our moments of like reflection, when we're doing our roses and thorns in real life. It's kind of like, what? Like going back to the whole concert thing. I remember the first time I think I was interviewing someone and they're like, hey, do you want tickets to the show? We can get you like blah blah blah. And I was like, wait, what? Like just 3 years ago, I was like standing out in lines and like paying all this money and trying to like meet and go to these shows, and it's like now this is part of my job, and it's like just handed to you. And it's
but that's why I think gratitude is so important. Like understanding that that is a part of your life, but also understanding that it can be taken away.
Yeah. Like just always see, maybe it's more of like a full circle, like weird, like realization that it's like, how did this, like, I mean, I guess when you look back, you see all the steps and you do understand, okay, X, Y, Z led me to this.
I think that's important too, is understanding what you've added to the industry and what you've done to get yourself to where you are. To me, it's all attached to value. Like, what value do you bring your relationships and your brands and your friends and all of that? It's like an inherent value. And I think when you start to understand that if you're working hard enough and you really, even whether it's a number value, whether that's being a woman and demanding a certain rate or demanding a certain amount of compensation for your time and work, it's all stemmed from the same thing. Like, it's just a value add. It's like, how do you value yourself and how do you want other people to value you? Like, this is a huge thing in our industry. We know people aren't being compensated fairly for the work that they do. How do we as industry leaders make sure that the next women or the next generation say, no, I deserve that, $10,000. No, I deserve that extra.
Totally.
Now it's going more into monetary stuff, but it's just, I think it's important for us as women to not feel imposter syndrome because we do deserve to like stand in our light and like.
Yeah, and to me, it's not necessarily like a female thing, and it's not in any way when it comes to work.
No, but I do. What I'm saying is, women suffer from imposter syndrome much more often than men.
Okay, yeah, no.
Men sit there and say, I deserve to be here, and that's that. And it's like we need to kind of adopt that behavior as well and say, yeah, we actually fully do deserve to be here.
I guess maybe the thing where I kind of like struggle with is like the whole like, not ego thing, but kind of ego thing.
Okay.
And it's like, but I am self-aware that I know that I am not better than so-and-so and so-and-so. And yeah, maybe I had this better opportunity where I seized it a bit like more efficiently than so-and-so. But like, for me, it's like, why I can never like grasp the idea of being like, oh, I deserve this more than so-and-so. Because I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm not saving lives. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
Like, when you scale it back, it makes me feel like, I don't know. It's just like, yes, I work hard, but I'm not the hardest working human. Yes, I think there's value in what I do, but I'm not the most valuable person,
Yeah, but like that is sort of
not like a life thing.
No, totally. But I mean, from my perspective, that does feel a little self-deprecating because what you're saying then is you're saying I'm not more valuable than someone else, but why not? Do you know what I mean? Like you're not giving yourself the benefit of the doubt. Like obviously, yeah, there's people that work harder than us and there's people that, are grinding out there and there's all these other things, but it's also just a matter of your industry and a matter of your perception.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think either of us are right. I think like you're both right and I'm both right.
End. Exactly.
Well, exactly.
It's like a marriage of the two.
Yeah,
knowing your values, being assertive about what you want.
But then also not being the most
not being like,
egotistical asshole in the room. Like,
I deserve all
no
this.
one wants to work with that anyways. Yeah. And that's a part of it too. But I do think understanding one's value is like very
imperative.
No,
for sure,
to your success and also mental health, because you have to believe that you deserve something to be able to like truly stand in your light. Like, do you think Taylor Swift sits there and goes, I don't deserve this? Like, no, I think she's sitting there saying, I worked hard for this. I'm gonna stand in, my confidence and understand that I worked hard to be here, and that's kind of the thing, right? Like, you need those trailblazers, like in every industry. Like Meryl Streep is not sitting there saying, I don't deserve this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess it's just that line navigating.
It's also like, I think what you're doing is comparing yourself to the industry and people around you, and I think that can also be dangerous, like saying, oh, I'm not as valuable as that person, or oh, I'm not as, whatever it might be.
No, I think it's the opposite. I maybe am not comparing myself, but I think of people outside of this industry, and I'm like, I see my friend who does these crazy night shifts and is doing all this and like barely has time to sleep and then is balancing 5 other things. And I go, well, why am I so lucky to get this on a silver platter when this person is like working hard in a different way?
Totally.
It's actually like the opposite.
But do you really, this is what confuses me. Yeah. Do you really feel like it was handed to you on a silver platter?
No, but I do think there is a certain amount of privilege that you need to recognize and like,
no, 100% privilege and luck and all of these things that come together, 100%. And there's always a marriage of that, no matter what. In every person's successful career, a matter of luck comes into play, a matter of good time and good place, whatever it might be.
Right. Maybe it's just like, I have too much empathy. But like, no, I think I'm very like, I like, I don't know if empathy is the right word, but it's like I feel like I have so
No,
much.
yeah, that makes sense. You're being empathetic to other people's situations.
Yeah, that I think, like, I feel like I've got it. Sometimes, maybe it's what you're saying. I feel like things are going too good right now that I'm like, I need
it can't be that good.
Yes, it's like
life can't be
not
that
fair.
good.
But then I think on the flip side, it's like what we talk about all the time. I think if you have that perspective on life and you are grateful for all these things, and if you have a positive outlook, you see life in more of a positive way.
Exactly.
Whereas if you're in a negative headspace,
I mean, let's be honest, like shitty things happened to us both personally and professionally all weekend, and we're still here saying we're so grateful for our life. I think we're just ones to very quickly go to the positive of things, but that doesn't mean bad things aren't happening to us. Do you know what I mean?
Right,
like,
you're right.
So it's also letting ourselves, like letting our guards down and be like, no, bad things do happen to us. We're just very quick to lean towards the positive and be like, we want that positive life so badly that we're willing to kind of block ourselves from that negative energy and be like, okay.
I was just going to say, maybe it's that I don't acknowledge the bad in my life enough.
Right.
I let it go.
You let it go and you accept the good. And if anything, that's just super healthy. So
Sure. So we're doing okay.
So I think it's fine. At the end of it, I think it's fine.
I feel like I struggle with this a lot. Like we've chatted about this off camera tons of times before, but like this just weird, daunting idea of like, why me? And like I love it.
It's so funny that you feel that way. I do find that interesting.
Maybe
but I definitely felt it younger. Like I remember being like I was talking about my death experience. Like feeling like, you know, why did I deserve to be in that position over someone else? Basically exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
And why do I deserve to see myself find success if other people are not finding that success? And I think that's really hard because it forces you to kind of remove yourself from, you know, your circle and your friends and other people that may not be doing as well. But you have to think, okay, no, like my talents, my commitment, my work ethic, all of these things have gotten me here. I think it's okay, not to be egotistical, but to accept, you know, the love you think you deserve.
Yeah, no, but seriously. And I think sometimes what it is maybe I buy into the sob story too often with people.
Interesting, yeah.
And
well, I say that to you. I'm like, you totally give people such an arm and a leg. Like you like reach out and you're like, oh, I want to help you. You're like a helper. And I'm like, no, like I don't really let that stuff like infiltrate my life. I'm like, that's bad vibes. I don't care. Like I'm not gonna like engage.
You're more tough love in a good way.
I definitely have a little bit of tough love in me. And all of my friends, like my friend went through a breakup recently, and like I was the only friend that gave her the hard truth. I'm like, dude, he's just not that into you. Like, no, not actually. That's a movie, but it's more.
Weren't you watching that last night?
No, I was watching How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Love that film as well. Matthew McConaughey does things to me, but I do think, and there's room for both. Like I think being an empathetic friend in some moments is so important, and making sure like, you know, you're someone's shoulder to cry on. I really do think that that's a huge part of friendship. But I also think I've never had a ton of friends that have just given it to me as it is. And I always actually think my parents have done the best job at that. Like if I see something a certain way or I get really stuck in my head, my dad is so facts driven and so, you know, diplomatic about how things are. And when you take emotion out of it, it can be kind of interesting, and like to always get their insight that can maybe be a little more tough love or like isn't the thing you want to hear is kind of important. Like I do think the friend that always coats the blow and is like, it's fine, you're not really helping that person grow or see, you know,
it might be
how they can
helpful
be
in the
better.
short term, but in the long term, I agree, it's not going to be.
And it might be the harder conversation to have in the short term, like, hey, look, this is what I'm seeing, and maybe, you know, this is not the situation. But I mean, at the end of the day, you know, like I'm always like honesty over everything. Like I'd rather someone give me the hard truth and like feel shitty about it and then like move on, as opposed to, oh, it's okay. Like, you know, how do you grow from, oh, it's okay, everything's fine?
You're right. I think like at everything in life there needs to be a balance. And going back to my deepest problem in life, I do not have balance.
That's not true. I think you do. Maybe not as like consistently, but I think you do.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. Any friends in my life, I'm cutting off the empathy. Don't come to me with any of your shit. I don't care.
My friends already know that I have tough love. That's always been the case. But it's not even like tough love. I think I'm just a straight shooter. There's no bullshit. It's like you're kind of going to get what you're going to get. I've lost friends that way just by having too honest of a sharing session. Like sometimes I've realized that too. Like it depends on the room. Like if someone's really sensitive and I make like a Torri Webster kind of half-ass joke or comment that they just don't resonate with, they're gonna be like, this girl is like a crazy bitch. But it's like, no, you just don't understand my like comedy. Like, I'm an actor.
You are insane. You don't get my humor. You should be laughing. Laugh. Damn,
I'm not saying I'm always funny, but it's like
most of the time.
Take a joke. But I also like, I don't mind being. We talked about this when we were in New York and we were like the pit of all the jokes. And we were at the comedy show.
I love being the butt of a joke.
I really don't mind, like, unless I've like truly embarrassed myself and I feel like really shitty.
Yeah.
Then I will feel like shit. But if it's not at that level and someone's just making fun of me, I can take a joke.
Yeah.
Like,
I also think that's a sign of like confidence and being self-assured.
Well, yeah, you just kind of know where you're at. You're like, you can make a joke and make a comment about me. That doesn't really mean you understand me.
And I also feel like, especially when it comes to friendship or like relationships, like I think when you can shit on someone, which is basically what we do 24/7, that's when you know you're at a good place. Like, I hate those types of friendships where you do feel like you have to kind of walk on eggshells and behave a certain way to get them to be okay.
I think I've lost all my friends that used to be like that. I had a lot of friends that I felt that way around. Like, oh, I have to like, it's almost like you're like their babysitter. Like, you have to do certain things to make sure that they're not gonna like kind of lose the plot. And I felt like I had a lot of friends even in high school where that was kind of the case. And I'm just, as I grow up, I realize I can't.
Right, and I think what we talk about a lot too is like, I don't want to have to water down who I am just to get a good interaction out of you.
You know that whole gossip, I don't know if you know that Gossip Girl episode where, you know, like the continuous fight of Blake and Leighton Meester, or Serena and Blair is that essentially like, you know, Blair is always has this deep-rooted insecurity that Serena's like better than her. And there was this line that ends up happening like later in the seasons, and Serena says, you know, I really can't dim my light so that you feel like you can shine.
Don't dull my sparkle.
But like
can
literally,
we make these on shirts? We're
don't
gonna have
dull my sparkle.
Tor and Jack in Bedazzled, and then on the back it's gonna say, don't dull my sparkle.
Well, because we know we're extra or like have these big personalities. And I know we were talking about it in the last episode, like when is it too much, or like when do we have to pull back, and like I don't know yet. Like and maybe in my 30s I'll know the answer. Like maybe there really is a time where Torri Webster needs to shut the fuck up and like have no opinion. And
but
like,
not right now.
But I don't know that I'm okay with that.
I
like,
also feel like this is the time. If I was to like map things out on a timeline, it's like, okay, 10 to 20. You're kind of figuring out who you are, navigating through life. 20 to 30. I know who I am. I'm gonna be ruthlessly myself and just so unapologetic about who I am.
And then you can just settle
and then we'll tone it back and like maybe get a bit of reality and be humble.
Once I have children, I'll pass along my sparkle and I'll be like, okay, I'm done now.
Stop saying sparkle.
I'm gonna say I'm done now. My sparkle is now your sparkle, and I want you to go shine. So there you go. I'll stop.
Don't ever tell your kids that. I hate that.
I'm gonna say go to Auntie Jack and tell her that you stole
love.
my sparkle. Yeah.
Happy Wednesday. Shopping is my cardio. It just reminds me of all those like quotes that are on pillows.
So I turned 23 on Monday. So next episode we'll be shooting. I'll be 23.
You're gonna be a wise woman.
Wise woman at 23. But it's funny because I think we jump through life. Like you end up in these chapters and you don't even really realize what you've learned or what you've done. I was thinking tomorrow, because we have our drive up to Boots and Hearts, I was thinking of taking
we're
those.
Going to another festival tomorrow.
Yeah.
If that other story.
And then Torchella, which is the festival of the summer.
And then we can finally survive and give ourselves a cleanse.
But I was thinking of doing like a little reflection journal on the drive up tomorrow, like things I've accomplished this year that I haven't given enough, like
a big pat on the back enough.
Yeah, like things like, you know, we started this podcast. Like this was like literally in 2019.
We have our first sponsor. Shout out to Roar.
Yeah, like we've done so many cool things, and obviously both personally and professionally, I feel like I've grown a lot.
It has been a year.
It's interesting when you feel like, oh my God, nothing's changed. I'm in the grind. It's the hustle. It is what it is. But then when you go back and take a second, I got this Snapchat memory last night after I dropped you off, and it was 3 years on this day. So I had 3 years of what this day was, or what yesterday was. So I go back 1 year, and it was you and I on the flight home from Oshiega, which I thought was funny, and we're like, we're coming home, which was funny. And then the year previous, I was at Veld, which I thought was funny. And then the year previous to that, it looked like Montreal, but it was hard to tell. Like I just had this snap of like, the city, and I was like, it must be Montreal. But I think that's so interesting. And then last night I did a story, and I was like, I'm adding to the collection on this day. I ran 14K. Like I just did a funny thing as like a, you know, it's interesting to like have those, if you have 4 years on the same day, like what has happened in those years?
Well, I think when you go through moments of life, and especially in the types of like jobs that we have, everything is very fast paced.
Yeah.
And when you're living it, it seems so gradual. And also like, it makes sense. It seems very linear when you're doing it. It's like, oh,
I did this, so this
B,
happened.
And then that's why I got C. But when you kind of look back and like talk about all those highlight moments, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
And like, if I was to go back 5 years ago and be like, yeah, I'm in this studio filming my podcast.
Yeah.
We just are about to hit 200,000 subscribers. We have over 25 million views on, like, it's like, what? Like, these numbers, these accomplishments, these moments don't seem to make sense. You're like, how would I get there?
Right.
But when you're living it, it seems
just happens.
so normal.
Yeah.
And I think we are so used to things being so fast-paced, and we hold ourselves to a standard of, like, just get her done.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we always talk about. Like, we love... There's nothing I love more in a person or how I work with someone when they set out a plan or set a commitment or an action and they follow through and just do it.
Yeah.
And a lot of life, I feel like as people talk on the talk, saying these great ideas, schmoozing the right people, saying all these things, and it's like, but you're not actually doing it or following through, and
Totally.
that drives me nuts. It's like, just do it then. Show me through your actions. And I don't think a lot of people can do it. And
well, we said that from the very beginning about Poddy, because
we're like,
even
we need to
in the
just
first
do it.
episode when we were in the closet, LOL, when we're sitting there trying for whatever reason to do this podcast that literally made no sense, because we are not podcast hosts, but randomly now we are.
so many road bumps. We didn't know what we were doing.
We had no idea what gear to use. Like, if you guys think we like sat down and we're like, successful podcast is going to happen, like that was fully not the case.
We also went into it without being like, we're not investing any money up front. Let's just make do with what we have. Let's film on the iPhone microphones.
Totally.
Like, we really...
But we were sitting there saying, whatever, at least we did it. At least we sat down and tried. Even if, whatever, we get another 100 episodes deep and
no one's
watching, or we finally take off, who knows what it might be.
Yeah.
But I just think, if you're sitting there and putting the time in, every Wednesday we come in and do this, does it mean anything to everyone else? Who knows? But we know that we've made this commitment, and we're trying and we're excited about it. And I feel like that really matters.
I think, exactly. With life, there are so many road bumps. And professionally, personally, like, there's a million things. And I could sit here and be like, there's X, Y, and Z that's going wrong. I can't do this today. I can't whatever. It's very easy to make excuses. And I feel like majority of people around us do make excuses.
Totally.
And, I mean, of course, there's going to be the outliers that have truly, like, horrible situations or things that, like, of course there's always going to be stuff.
Limit you,
But it's very easy to not do what you're going to say you're going to do.
Yeah.
And
well, we even say that with work partners. Like, when people just pull through, we're like, whoa, we're shocked.
Yeah, because it's you on, and I think going into other business relationships, I kind of always go in thinking it's probably not going to happen.
I know.
So it would be like a surprise if it did, and that's always the best surprise when someone actually commits and does what they say they're going to do.
It's the best.
But yeah, I think even with this, like last week, I know we had like a rough morning and like it was like hard to get up and film an episode, and we very easily could have been like, you know what, Tor, I'm not my best self today. Let's scrap it.
Yeah.
But then I watched back this episode as I was sitting down and editing it. I was like, hey, wasn't that bad.
No.
And I was reading this book, which I need to actually give it to you. It's on my coffee table right now.
We're the biggest critics of ourselves, too.
Yeah, it's very easy also to like get down the rabbit hole and like be very critical and like,
totally.
oh, I'm not gonna put this out, I don't look good, or I didn't have makeup on, or I didn't do this, or I didn't say this properly. And it's like sometimes you just have to be like, oh well. I wasn't my best self today, but it was at least something.
I always like the thing about if you try your best, then that's good enough. Have you heard of that?
Oh,
like,
totally.
Just like, at least if you're giving it whatever, like we were talking about yesterday, we had a long weekend, you're kind of running at like a 50%.
Yeah.
Fine. At least if you're still giving 50, like I think that matters.
And celebrating small accomplishments. Like there's some days, like I'll have a rough morning. I'm like, I just can't even bear the thought of like all the 20 things on my to-do list today. Taking it step by step. Okay, I just need to take a shower. That's all I'm going to focus on doing. Take a shower. Cool, did that. Okay, the next thing, I just need to like make a healthy breakfast. Okay, did that. And like just taking it literally in digestible pieces.
Yeah.
And sometimes just the basics seems hard. Okay, I'm just gonna put on real clothes, not be in my PJs all day and work from home. And all those small things can build to it. And I'm not saying every day is perfect. I have my moments for sure, but I was reading this book. It's called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. I'll give it to you. I think you'll really like it. It's kind of a book. It sounds very hippy-dippy, but it's actually, I found a lot of moments and like different, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a paragraph, like little inserts that I feel like I can take out and really apply to my life. And there's this whole one section kind of about, one about creativity always being very tied to like negative things and people saying, oh, it's like the worst moments of your life that create the best art. and then detaching yourself from that, because it's like, no, that's actually not the truth. You don't need to be in a negative headspace to create beautiful creativity and art.
That's so interesting.
And
that's totally never been my my literal university program was called creative industries. So like if we were going in 4 years being like, we need to be hurt to
I think maybe that's more like, that was maybe a little more tailored towards like
the struggling artist,
artists or like musicians,
the emotional
kind
artist,
of thing. But I did find that kind of interesting. And then the other note that I actually really took away from was this whole idea of, I'd rather put out my art or my whatever creative project at completion at only a 75% and say, okay, well, at least it's done. Like, it might not be my best work, but it's like 75% of my best work versus never putting out your 100% work. You know what I'm saying?
No, totally.
Like, I'd rather at least finish something and see it through to completion, and it might not be the best, but at least it's done, versus,
I totally
can't put it out, it's not perfect yet. And that's something even, I think with my YouTube originally, I kind of struggled with. I was like, I'm not going to put a video out. It needs to be edited perfectly in this, and I need to shoot this. And it's like, yo, you're just never, oh my God, I just like burped on the mic. That was so gross.
And no one cares as much as you do. Like, you think it's not 100%, but I mean, Adam and I have this conversation.
I'm so sorry, podcast listeners. That is Poddy duck.
Adam and I have this conversation all the time because he is a true perfectionist in the negative sense of the word, wherein he literally thinks that nothing is ever complete. Like,
really?
He thinks that everything can always be better. He thinks like an edit can always be better. The color can always be better. You know, one of the flashes of the scene can always be better.
Yeah.
And that is just so not my approach to life. I'm very much like you, like, finish it, be done with it, move on. You tried your best.
I don't think I'm inherently like that, though. I'm very consciously like, it's okay.
No, I'm like inherently like that. I'm done. I'm done. That's it. I did my best. I'm over it. And he gets so harped on things like it's very rare that I pick him up from set and he's like satisfied with the day. Almost always he's like distraught, emotional. Things could have been better. Like, it's like the art fucking like brings him down. It's like, and I always say, I'm like, your passion is gonna kill you because you're so passionate, and that is such an amazing trait to have. You love your work, you love what you do, and that's amazing, but that's so debilitating. Like, to go and do a 14-hour day and then feel unsatisfied with the level of effort you've put into something, to me is so detrimental to your like mental health.
I get that though. It's like,
oh, I get it from like a true creative perspective. I get it. Your work is never done, but that's like just not life.
But think, okay, so do you remember, I've told you this before, that robot makeup, that stupid special effects makeup, it took me 15 hours. I was miserable. Mid-shoot, I had to turn off the camera and I started crying, but like tried to like catch my tears so I didn't ruin the makeup. This makeup was so stressful and the stakes were so high. It was for like a competition, blah, blah, blah. And for that entire week, I was not eating properly. I was not sleeping. Like, it was like a disaster of a week. It was keeping me up at night. Like, it sounds so crazy. You're like, it's makeup. But like, to me, it was everything.
Yeah.
And that was the longest shoot. I think I wrapped that shoot at 4 a.m. and I was like, and when I was done, and the makeup looked good, but I didn't see it like that. Like, it's, I think, my best makeup I've ever done.
Yeah.
I finished it and I go, oh my God, this looks like shit. And like, I ripped it off the bald cap. I ripped apart my face. Like, I was so frustrated. I was crying. I was like, whatever, like, I'm probably gonna delete this footage. Like, I imported it, thank God. I think I had like literally 11 hours of footage, which was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then I look back and now I'm like, oh my God, that's my favorite video. And
yeah,
it
like,
ended
I'm
up
so
doing
dumb.
so well. It went viral. Like, the comments were so, like, everyone loved it. And I was like, whoa, sometimes you just need to snap out of it and be like, hey, you were thinking in your head to make this video say 105%, it ended up being at 100, which 100 is still amazing, you know?
Yeah. Or even if it was at 95, that's still amazing. Like, nothing is, but it's, I try to explain that to Adam, nothing will ever actually be perfect, and even if it's perfect in your eyes, it won't be perfect in someone else's eyes, so who cares?
Yeah, but that was kind of like the pivotal moment for me. I was like, I'm so miserable, but I created my best work, so like, maybe I need to, and that's why I didn't do special effects makeup for a year after that, because I was like, I will have to be that miserable to execute that great makeup. Like,
no, but that's not true.
It was, but it was for me in that moment, because I had to be that stressed out. I had to not sleep. I had to like be that fully, like, in like learning. I was like researching all these things and testing out so many things and trialing makeups. Like, I had to do that to execute the final result.
Yeah, but you don't think you could do that in a sane way?
No, I don't. I don't believe I could.
Really?
And that's why I've always said, like, I love makeup, and special effects makeup is probably my favorite thing.
See, I do my best work when I'm like calm. Like, when I think back to, like, my best, like, I mean, this is more, like, academic, but, like, my best pieces of writing or, like, my best presentations, I was always so calm. Like, when I was the most sure of myself is when I performed the best.
I feel calm when it's uploading. Like, when it's, like, when I hit
but
publish,
that's not
then
it, though. I'm
calm.
talking about the creative process.
Yeah, no.
The creative process should not be stemming from an anxiety.
I think it depends what it is. For that type of work, like prosthetics and, like, sculpting.
That's crazy that you think that should stem from anxiety.
No, I don't think it should. I'm just saying it does always. Whenever I create my best stuff, I am like,
you're like,
I hit a point, like, okay, so there's maybe the first 20% of the work, I'm like, oh, I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
Then I hit like 45%, I'm like, this is shit, this is never gonna work out, I hate this. And then I hit such a low, but then I get to about 65%, I'm like, hey, it's coming back. Then I'm like, oh, not again. And then the final 10%, I'm like, we getting there.
Yeah.
And then the end, I'm like, oh, at least it's done. And then later I look back and I'm like, hey,
you reap the rewards.
That was it.
So that's a pretty that's a very common creative process, though.
Oh.
It's very common.
Is
like,
it?
Yeah, 100%.
Like hating yourself?
Well, it's
Hating your
basically
work,
like
questioning your life.
Well, I think naturally the creative process is not linear. Like, it's never going to be like you start something and then you have a finish line.
There's dips.
There's always dips and there's highs and there's lows, and that is one short example of it. But your career would be a nice long example of it. Everyone's career, everyone's creative career. It's never going to be just like point A, point B. It's like you're going to have this. If you're an entrepreneur, you're going to have dips. If you're a freelancer, you're going to have dips. If you're whatever it is, there's like, this is the whole part of the creative industries, is that they're so tumultuous and so, you know, this is the nature of what this industry is. And that's a lot of what my thesis was about. So there you go.
Yeah, that is fascinating.
It is. It's like,
do you remember back when we were like not friends, but kind of friends?
Yeah.
You took me out to Figo and interviewed me for part of your, was it for your thesis?
No, because that would have been like years ago. I did my thesis in my 4th year.
Oh. What was that thing that we did?
I think it was probably just about like creative.
That was funny because we weren't friends then, I don't think.
No, I don't.
Like
I think we were like barely friends.
That's hilarious.
Just like I did a lot about creators and industry standards, and I'm sure it had something to do with that.
If you were not doing this job, but you had picked 5 other jobs that can be similar in similar field, top 5 next jobs.
I would have been a lawyer in another life.
Yeah, I could see that. I think
I'm just very diplomatic. I like can talk the talk. I always said I purposely did really well in my undergrad because I honestly, in who knows, 5 years could go back to law school.
I've always said this. I could see this.
Yeah. Even if
you better
like
still be doing Poddy throughout it, though. That's the only thing.
I've always like, the only thing is I'm not so passionate about like legislation or like any of that. It's more the presentation aspect, like Suits. If it was like Suits and I could literally just be Harvey, that would be the goal.
What if you just play a lawyer on a TV show? Will that?
Or play a lawyer on a TV show.
The itch?
Potentially. Because I like the lingo too. But anyways.
Okay.
Yeah,
2,
lawyer.
3, 4, 5.
I mean, everything I always say would be so similar. Like,
That's
it would be like, you know, working in television, whether that's like on the director, production side.
I can see that.
Yeah, positions of power, really. No, I'm kidding. Like,
because
half
I
kidding.
deserve it.
No. No, but I know that my personality is like quite abrasive and I'm a great communicator. I know that's one of my skills. So that's kind of, I would lean to a position that would, you know, be helpful in that way.
Yeah. Okay, and then one
maybe
random
like even
unrelated
like,
job that you just think would be fun.
That's a good question. Maybe being a makeup artist.
Oh.
Like, I feel like I could do it. I definitely have like base skills that like I could make beat people's faces.
You did it for a day. Remember you did that?
Yeah, her face looked great.
Did the photo smoke at the final photos?
Yeah, like I did my parents' friends' daughter's makeup for her like headshot photos, and like she was glowing. I was like, damn.
She looked glam.
So yeah.
MUA Torri.
How about you?
Okay, so I guess like different from what I'm currently doing, I think go back to makeup full time. I've always said this. I would love to do someone's makeup on tour. I would love to just like experience maybe like a 3-month tour run traveling.
You'd be good at that.
Just because I think the stakes would be high, and I think I'm good under high pressure situations.
Yeah.
So I would love to do that. I've always said Dua Lipa would be like the dream in the sense that she wears different makeup each night, doesn't have the same costume.
Yeah, like you want someone that's not lame.
Well, I even think someone like an Ariana Grande. I was talking to Patrick Ta about this, and he was saying that he was offered to do Ariana's makeup for her tour, and to him he was like, well, that means I have to say no to all my other little side freelance jobs, which bring out my passion.
Totally.
And get to be creative. Whereas Ariana, although she's a dream client and has amazing makeup, and it'd be so fun and an amazing experience and a great thing to add to the resume, to him, he's like doing the exact same makeup every day for 6 months. That's not creatively fulfilling, and he's at a place where he can pick jobs that are creatively fulfilling.
It's funny how people see that differently, because there's other makeup artists that only like working on one face. Like,
yeah, which I don't hate the idea of working on one face, but I just don't like the idea of being stuck to doing the same winged liner Ariana
every
liner
day.
with lashes
Totally.
and like beat face contour. Like, I like the idea of a Dua Lipa where one day she's like, do a pink graphic eye. I'm like, cool. And she's like, hey, do a glamazon look. Now do like
Something
an editorial.
natural,
like,
yeah, or whatever.
So I love the idea of being challenged. But I like the familiarity of the same face. But yeah, so would love to do that. Don't know if it's going to be on Dua or someone, but I think I would take a little 3-month hiatus from my current life.
Yeah.
To do that, just to experience it.
That'd be fun.
And then.
But that's still too similar to what you already do. So
another job. A talk show host. I've always said I would love my own like TV show. I'm very much so like.
Again, that's too similar. I'm saying like that's what I said.
You said someone in the industry.
I know, but far out.
Okay,
far
I'm
out.
giving you a few options.
I'm giving a few options.
A chef. I feel like I would love to.
There you go.
Yeah. That's like
you
my
could
like,
be good
hidden
at that.
thing. Like I actually like love.
Write a cookbook.
One day, maybe I'll do like a little.
I feel like you would be good at that, like a little vegan cookbook.
Yeah, I'm not like well educated in it though. Like I feel like I've learned from Gordon Ramsay and Jamie Oliver's YouTube videos, but my damn Wi-Fi password. Y'all
That's
have to
hilarious.
change that. It's been a struggle.
Oh yeah.
Like so many people don't know how to spell Gordon Ramsay. It's shocking to me.
It's her Wi-Fi password. I did
Don't
not know how to
tell
spell
everyone,
Ramsay.
Yeah, everyone's spelling it wrong, and it's actually I think that's a telltale sign of like I can accept them into my house. It's like, do you know how to spell Gordon Ramsay? And they're like, R-A, and if they don't, I'm like, you're not invited and leave.
That's funny.
A chef, and then let me think. I could have another one. I used to say back in the day, like as a child,
I could be a basketball player.
Says the 5'1" on a good day.
I just feel like really in another life. Oh, I should have said this. In another life, I would have been like
Hannah Montana.
Yes.
I've always said this.
Singer.
I just can't sing. Like I feel like I could do
like
everything else but sing, which I think is the most important part. But I would love to like everyone makes mistakes.
Well, really, in another life, I would have been on Broadway if I'd gotten into NYU.
That makes sense. That makes sense to me.
But I didn't get in.
I would love to be a Cirque du Soleil circus performer.
Oh yeah, that is your life's work.
Or a magician.
Wait, yeah, that is also your life's work.
That's more on brand for me.
You know what's funny is like when you think about like how young we are, we could do all these things. We could do it. We could do all of these things.
And that's how I actually see life. And I've always been I get bored so easily.
Let's not limit ourselves. I could be in the NBA.
I could be a Cirque du Soleil contortionist, even though I can't even cross my leg right now in these jeans.
I mean, hey, we ran 14K last night and we were saying...
Y'all, half marathon update. We ran 14K.
And we were like, never in my life have I ran that far. And we were talking about like body conditioning and how... No, it wasn't that bad. But then also, you talk about body conditioning and putting yourself into situations and just being like, okay, body, you're going to do this. And it's really funny when your mind and your body end up kind of rising to the challenge and they say, okay.
I would put a word of caution. I wouldn't just like go out and run 14K having no basis.
I'm not saying that.
I think because we have been leading up to this, it's like what we were saying last night. Your body, as you're running, it just kind of accepts the fact that it's going to keep going, and you kind of like don't feel any pain. And then when we stopped the 14K, I was like, my knee feels like it's going to explode.
Yeah, when you
my arches
stop,
of my foot. Like,
but that's why I find the human body so interesting. You can just push through so much pain. I guess it's like childbirth, you know.
We're ready for childbirth. Next episode.
Okay, it's Roses and Thorns time.
Hey, if you ever have a kid, can we film a live episode of Poddy Talk? Live stream it?
With my child?
Childbirth. The experience.
No.
Are you saying Poddy's not going to last until
No,
childbirth?
we'll bring when my daughter turns 5 and your daughter turns 5, we'll let them do an episode on their own.
They'll just take over for us. Stunning.
And then they'll grow the potty.
Stunning. Oh my God, guys. Embarrassing
I'm ready to
moment.
say, guess what? It's potty time, but not only pee-pee time, potty time, it's also potty time. You're going to be on the podcast.
We're going to force you to work.
You know how they do like potty training?
Yeah.
Oh my God, theirs will be called, ours is called Potty Talk, and then their season will be called Potty Training.
Wait, that's actually good if we have like
that's what I'm saying.
Episode. Let's archive that idea. That's good. Potty training.
I love it.
Cool.
Wow,
okay,
I just came up with that live on the air.
That was really nice. That was really nice.
Okay.
I am like winded
Roses and Thorns.
needing some more beverage to drink because I am thirsty.
Roses and Thorns. Hello.
Roar.
Okay, I'll start.
I'm just excited we have a beverage sponsor.
Same.
I just really am.
Roar, shouts out to you. I actually love this drink so much.
I think
there's literally only 3 grams of sugar. Kate, when you grow up with energy drinks that have upwards of 20 grams of
It's
sugar, if
coconut
not
water
more.
based, and I love coconut
I know,
water.
it's just so much better for
I
you.
have,
You
I
still
think,
get the
8
electrolytes,
cases.
but not. It's so
You need to take
healthy.
some of the cases. I've got 8 cases in
I
my
know.
house
I'm
right
coming
now.
for them.
So
Okay,
good.
roses and thorns.
Sorry. Roses and thorns. Thorn is that I've been blowing out black snot for the past
Ew.
week because the dust at Montreal was insane.
That's
Rose
weird.
is that I went to my allergy test and I'm allergic to grass and rabbits, which I grew up living basically in a farm field and with pet bunnies. So that's hilarious. They like do all the little pricks on your arm.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, that's a problem for sure. Another rose is I finally did my makeup for a podcast episode.
Woo woo.
I've been saying, I'm like, it's a podcast. I don't need to look good.
It's a
and then,
podcast.
it's a podcast. I'm an actor. And then a rosebud is we are going to go to a makeup event with Katie Jane Hughes, and we both love her as a makeup artist, and I'm excited to chat to her, learn from her, and get lunch.
Yeah, I always like her random tips and tricks.
She's very, like, not conventional with what you see with modern
I
makeup artists,
agree.
which I like that.
I like that too.
Yeah. What about you?
Thorn would be, I like briefly looked at my phone while we were filming and saw a lot of
Emails?
triggers and emails and texts. So
Oh,
I'm
God.
not looking forward to shutting this camera off.
Putting out some fires, some
Yeah,
might
I'm
say.
gonna be putting out some fires.
Wee-woo.
And then a rose. A rose would be
You singing when you do your Snapchat stories.
Yeah, one of our friends called to attention this weekend that I always sing in my Instagram stories, and now I'm just realizing it's true.
It's when you start like talking in your telephone voice and you have like points to say, you'll start talking like this.
I think it's because I started doing that. I sang everything growing up. Like if I was eating
Yeah.
Cheerios, I'd be like, the Cheerios are alive. And I would just start singing.
Oh, that's so funny.
But now I still do that. So that's a rose because, never stop. Never stop what you love. Another
don't dull your sparkle.
Don't dull your sparkle. Another rose would be that I am excited for Torcella. It's my birthday weekend coming up. I'm getting old.
23.
It's going to be great. And
I have some surprises. You're going to like it.
Oh, I'm excited. We'll reveal the surprises once
It's
I know.
been really hard not,
Next
I'm bad at keeping
Wednesday.
secrets. I've been like wanting to just...
She's really bad at keeping
But I
secrets.
can't.
And then a rosebud, I'm going to say, is that, yeah, can I echo yours? I want to meet Katie. I'm excited. Katie Jane Hughes.
Paul Jason
I like that
Klein.
she always, we love Polly. I love
I
that
love a
she
good
always,
middle name.
Same. I should just start going by Torri Sloan Webster.
Jaclyn Victoria Forbes.
Yours is weird. Victoria. I've never liked the name Victoria though, sorry. Even though it's
Thanks.
basically
I
my
can't, like-
name. Tori kind of is.
Yeah,
the
what
short
are you
form.
saying? Tori's the short version of Victoria. That was
I'm
so
just being
rude.
judgy. But I like
parents
that
are gonna-
Katie always does like color eyeliners and stuff. And like I kind of like that her makeup's never perfect. Like you know how you can kind of
I
always
like that her makeup's shitty, so...
No, it's
No,
not.
it's
Like
not.
she's not like makeup artisty in like a Kim Kardashian way where everything is like fine lines and perfectly angled and like I kind of like that it's imperfect.
I think she like brings those techniques in, but she's not full coverage, which I think is the like,
Maybe
big
that's the
switch.
difference.
She doesn't care if you see a wrinkle or an imperfection or a pimple.
Right.
Like, she's not worried about caking things up, just enhancing / modernizing.
Love that.
What's already there.
Love that.
Yes.
Well, thanks for tuning in to Poddy Talk, the podcast where we shit talk ourselves.
I'm Jack.
And I'm Tori.
And go head over to the Instagram at Poddy Talk Podcast.
To
on
enter
Instagram.
our Roar giveaway, we will see you next week.
Bye. Woo!
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. We're going to get kicked out of this studio real soon.
Cheers to that.